The night Hung knocked on her door, Ly Tieu Ca almost didn't open it. For 3 years, she had learned that unexpected knocks rarely brought good news, only reminders of struggles she thought she had buried. But something about that quiet, hesitant knock felt different, like the past was standing outside, waiting to be let in. And what she didn't know was that this single moment would change everything, not just for her, but for the fragile little world she had built around her child. The door creaked open, and there he stood, Hung thinner, older, his eyes carrying the weight of years she hadn't seen him. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence between them was heavy, filled with memories of love, pain, and the night he had disappeared without a word. Ly Tieu Ca tightened her grip on the door. She had imagined this moment 100 times, sometimes with anger, sometimes with tears, but now that it was real, she felt nothing. Or maybe everything at once. Her child's soft voice came from behind her, breaking the silence. "Mama, who is it?" Hung's eyes flickered, and for the first time, they filled with emotion. He stepped forward slightly, but Ly Tieu Ca instinctively blocked the entrance. She had spent 3 years protecting her child, raising them alone, working endless hours, facing judgment, loneliness, and nights when she cried quietly so no one would hear. She had promised herself no one would ever come back and disrupt their peace. "I just need a chance," Hung said softly. "Not for me, for them." Those words cut deeper than any apology. The past came rushing back, the dreams they once shared, the plans they made, and the sudden day he vanished, leaving her pregnant and alone. There had been no explanation, no goodbye. Just silence. And now he stood here, asking for a place in a life he had abandoned. Ly Tieu Ca wanted to slam the door. She wanted to protect her child from disappointment, from the pain she knew too well. But her child peeked from behind her, eyes wide with curiosity, unknowingly looking at their father for the first time. That moment broke something inside her. Days turned into weeks, and against her better judgment, she allowed Hung to stay, just temporarily. At first, it was awkward. He didn't know how to fit into their routine, didn't know what her child liked to eat, what stories they loved before bedtime, or how to comfort them when they cried. Ly Tieu Ca watched everything carefully, ready to push him out at the first mistake. But something unexpected began to happen. Hung tried. He woke up early to make breakfast, even if he burned it. He learned the small things, how her child liked their shoes tied, how they laughed at silly faces, how they needed a gentle hand when they were scared. He never complained, never asked for forgiveness again. Instead, he showed it, through actions, through patience, through quiet determination. Still, Ly Tieu Ca's heart remained guarded. Trust wasn't something that returned easily. Every time she saw him smile with her child, she remembered the pain of his absence. Every time her child laughed, she feared the day that laughter might turn into tears if he left again. One evening, during a sudden storm, the electricity went out. The house fell into darkness, and her child began to cry in fear. Before Ly Tieu Ca could move, Hung gently held the child, whispering calm words, telling a story in the dark. Slowly, the crying stopped, replaced by soft giggles. Ly Tieu Ca stood there, watching in silence. For the first time in 3 years, she wasn't alone. But healing isn't easy. And just when things began to feel normal, the truth finally came out. Hung revealed why he had left. It wasn't because he didn't care. It was because he thought he wasn't enough. Burdened by debt, pressure, and fear of failing as a father, he chose to disappear instead of facing responsibility. It was a mistake, one he had regretted every single day. Ly Tieu Ca felt anger rise again. "You left because you were afraid," she said, her voice shaking. "Do you know what fear looks like? It's raising a child alone. It's not knowing how to survive tomorrow." Hung didn't argue. He simply nodded. "I know. And I'll spend my life making up for it, if you let me." That night, Ly Tieu Ca couldn't sleep. She looked at her child, peacefully resting, and thought about the past 3 years, the pain, the strength she had built, the love that kept her going. She didn't need Hung. She had proven that. But maybe, her child deserved the chance to have both parents. The next morning, she made a decision, not out of weakness, but strength. She didn't forgive him instantly. She didn't forget the past. But she allowed him to stay, not as the man he used to be, but as someone who was trying to become better. And that changed everything. Months passed, and the house slowly filled with something new, not just routine, but warmth. Laughter came more often. The silence that once felt heavy now felt peaceful. Ly Tieu Ca still worked hard, still remained strong, but now she allowed herself to rest sometimes, knowing she wasn't carrying everything alone. Hung didn't become perfect, but he became present. And that was enough. One evening, as they sat together watching their child play, Hung quietly said, "Thank you, for giving me a second chance." Ly Tieu Ca looked at her child, then back at him. "This isn't your second chance," she replied softly. "This is your responsibility." But there was no anger in her voice anymore. Only acceptance. Because life doesn't always give perfect endings. Sometimes, it gives you broken pieces, and the choice to rebuild. And Ly Tieu Ca chose to rebuild, not because she forgot the pain, but because she had grown stronger than it. The knock that night didn't just bring back the past. It brought a future she never thought she'd have again.